Hey everyone! Alright, so it's time for me to deliver my 2 cents on Batman vs Superman, The Dawn of Justice. I got to see it last night at the midnight screening at Cineworld. They did a double bill back to back, Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. And I'm going to come right off the bat and say, I thought this was a really, really solid film. Genuinely. And I appreciate that obviously there's been a lot of mixed reviews out there. People have been divided. There's been heavy division over this film. But I really liked it. Really did. But it's one of those films where things only really get going in the second half. The first half is very much a slow burn. There's a lot of build up. But in fairness, they had so much to cover in this film. Further developing the Superman character and his relationship with Lois Lane. Introducing the Batman character and Wonder Woman and Lex Luthor. And of course, setting up the whole storyline, drawing the battle lines, and leading up to this confrontation between Batman and Superman, and then showing how they put the differences aside and join forces to fight a common enemy. Lot of stuff to cover. And you might say, well, maybe the filmmakers should have took that into account before they started. But when you sit and watch the film, you think, what else could they have done? But yet, so the first half of the film, lot of build up, and second half is where things really, really pick up. And once we get to that second half, it really, really gets fun. It does. I gave this 4 out of 5. And it's really when things pick up at that second half, at the halfway point, that second half of the movie really earns that 4th star for the film, I think. Because it's just so much fun to watch. There's like a certain point in the film where you can see where it visibly steps it up a gear, clearly it does. But yeah, overall, this film, I don't think it. Obviously, a lot of mixed reviews, but a lot of negative things have been said about it. But watching it, I don't think this movie deserves a lot of the negative comments it's been getting. No, 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 no. I mean, one thing I have heard said is that it suffers in the respect that the trailers for the film showed way too much. I would happen to agree. I do agree with that. Like there's certain really fantastic scenes in the film, like at Lex Luthor's party where Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent meet each other for the first time. A really good scene. But shame we knew it was coming because we saw it in the trailer. And stuff like that. And then also, of course, people have John Campea and the guys at Collider have said this. That second trailer where it shows Doomsday and it shows Batman and Superman teaming up. That was a mistake. They should never have showed that. And yeah, so it's fair to say that the movie does suffer in that respect, that the trailers showed too much. I mean, as enjoyable as the scenes are to sit and watch in the theatre, it would have been so much more enjoyable if we didn't know they were coming. But I mean, yes. So obviously the trailers showed way too much, but there's still a lot of really good stuff in the film that came as a surprise. So it didn't give away everything. There's still some stuff in there that will come as a surprise and will be really enjoyable. So it suffers to a certain extent, but certainly it doesn't ruin the film. you can still have a really good time and enjoy the film despite the fact that the trailers showed too much. And getting into specifics of the film, I mean, of course, it's visually impressive. Much like Man of Steel, really, really impressive. The action sequences are absolutely fantastic. Really, really hard hitting. Really, really good. And Henry Cavill, of course, really solid as Superman as always. You can depend on him. Absolutely fantastic. But of course, people have been. Tyrone Magnus praised him as the crowning jewel of the film. Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. I have to agree. Absolutely fantastic. Ben Affleck was awesome in this. Um, and it's interesting because, of course, I was wondering, why isn't Christian Bale coming back to do it? And I'd heard from someone that he'd been asked if he'd like to come back, but he turned it down. And then, of course, heard, well, it's completely different continuity, so to avoid any confusion. And looking at Ben Affleck, I thought he was fantastic, but interestingly, if Ben Affleck was in the played Batman in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, I don't think he would have worked. I actually think he works in this as older Bruce Wayne. Older, more worn out Bruce Wayne. And that's the Bruce Wayne that I want to see Ben Affleck play, rather than the younger Bruce Wayne that Christian Bale played. This older Bruce Wayne. This is Ben Affleck, man. He plays it so fantastically well. He's a complete and total badass in the film. It really he is really the shining star, I thought. And to talk about the fight scenes. The fight sequences that Batman gets into in this film, what you see in the trailer, when he's fighting all those guys, rock bottoms a guy, really hard hitting stuff, and obviously the stuff between him and Superman when they have their battle, devastating, completely devastating. So yeah, it's a lot of hard hitting action in this. I mean, yeah, it's PG-13. But this ain't a kid's film, and of course that to go to that the real slow burn development and build up at the start again. It's not. It's kids may find that boring, so it's not a kid's film, and the action gets really brutal. And to go with this, there's scenes when we see Bruce Wayne when he comes back as the Batman. Some of the sequences are really intense. Like there's a scene where the police go to a call out, and and the Batman's beat them to it. And when they go in, when they're making their way through this building, it's like a scene out of a horror film. It's really dark and intense. So this, like I said, this is not a kid's film. It isn't. And I can only imagine what the hell they're going to add in that director's cut, if it's supposed to be like the R-rated cut of the film. Or certainly a harder cut. I don't know, man, I mean. But, yeah, Ben Affleck is absolutely fantastic as older Bruce Wayne. He's really, really good. Of course, I'd heard a lot of people say, this is a role he's been wanting to play for a long time, and hey, he does an absolutely fantastic job, and I'm glad that he's finally being able to play the role. Interestingly enough, to go off point, apologies, but I was hoping that we've met older Bruce Wayne. And we're going to once we've covered the whole Justice League storyline, I was hoping that it might possibly lead into like Batman Beyond or Batman of the Future, whichever title you prefer. You know, where when after Bruce Wayne finally retires as the Batman, you know, when he brings a younger guy in. So I'm holding out hope that after we've covered the whole Justice League storyline, and then when Bruce Wayne finally gets too old, that we might finally get the Batman Beyond, and like hopefully, you know, if they're gonna do that, there's one storyline they have to cover, and that's the Return of the Joker storyline, which would be absolutely fantastic. So hopefully it'll lead into that. And I absolutely love Batman Beyond. I think that is my favourite Batman. I mean, Ben Affleck, probably my favourite incarnation of Bruce Wayne, but if we're talking about Batman the character in general, I love Batman Beyond. So to get to ultimately see that in live action would be such a treat. Hopefully that'll happen. But yeah, Ben Affleck as older Bruce Wayne, man. Absolutely fantastic. And Gal Gadot, I love Gal Gadot. She was great in Fast 5 and Fast 6, and to see her here as Wonder Woman, she's really good. I mean, we saw that awesome shot in the trailer, you know, when they're fighting Doomsday, and she does that leap through the air, sword and shield in hand, and that awesome battle cry she does. She's absolutely awesome in this. She's really, really good. And her and Ben Affleck, because she has a lot of scenes with Ben Affleck, like most of her screen time is shared with him. They have a really good chemistry. You know, we see a couple of shots in the trailers, but they have a really good chemistry. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the time this whole story's done, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't end up getting it on at some point. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they might end up together. That's all I'm saying. There's a it looks as though there's a bit of a spark there. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up getting it on. Why not? I mean, hey, Clark Kent's got Lois, you know. Hey, Bruce Wayne, you know. Why not? And let's talk about Lex Luthor as well for a second. A lot of people haven't liked what Jesse Eisenberg has done. And that's fair enough, you know. But the thing with me, you see, I'm not a comic book guy, so I went into this without any, you know, expectations, or I was just hoping for a fun time. I got that, and I was hoping to see, I was hoping to see Ben Affleck tearing guys apart. I got that too, but yeah. I really liked Jesse Eisenberg in this, but of course I'm not a comic book guy, so of course that, you know, just as a guy who enjoyed the movie, I really enjoyed Lex Luthor, because I mean I think they've obviously done a different you know portrayal of the character, very different from like what Gene Hackman did. I think there was something mentioned that his father was called Lex Luthor, so he's kind of like Lex Luthor Jr. I don't know, but yeah, he's like obviously this very young guy, you know, in charge of this vast company, you know, all the money you could want, and you know, obviously very young, so he's got, you know, very, very. You know, he doesn't have like the years of wisdom behind him that, you know, or that air of authority, you know, or badassery that you might have got with Gene Hackman. But the thing about Jesse Eisenberg was, I got that. I've been thinking about it, and I've got that kind of vibe. He's kind of very much like a Kadaj type character from Final Fantasy Advent Children, like. Very young, but he's really dangerous. You don't know what he's capable of, and you get, when you watch some of his scenes in this, you know, you can tell there's something not right about this guy. This guy could flip in a second, and he could kill you. So yeah, he's sort of very much like an anime character, I guess you could say. You know, like you say, you don't get he hasn't got that intimidation factor. He's not like a tough guy, and Kadaj wasn't in Final Fantasy. But when you watch this guy, you think this guy's very dangerous. Yeah, he's young, but you know. So that's what I like. I liked what they did with him, but again, I appreciate for those guys, who love the comic. I can appreciate, that you guys don't like what he did. But if you're someone who wasn't, isn't a comic book guy and was just going in to see a fun action film, or if you guys, you don't mind deviances from the comic books, you guys might enjoy it. Like I say, I think people have been quite unfair to Jesse Eisenberg. And hey, credit to him, at least he wasn't going in there and just trying to do a Gene Hackman impression, you know. But yeah, so this was a lot of fun. When it picked up in the second half, it really got fun. And, hey, woke me up, because, yeah, it was kind of during those parts of the movie where it rested for a while, kind of just plodding through it, and then, okay, finally, second half of the film comes around, okay, this film's ready to play now. So, and it was so much fun. But I mean, in fairness to the film, what movie doesn't have parts where it takes time to rest? I mean, Die Hard with a Vengeance even takes time to rest. I mean, it doesn't take very long, but it still takes time to rest. Speaking of which, Jeremy Irons is really good in the film, as you may already have heard. Jeremy Irons, he's having so much goddamn fun in this film, and the chemistry between him and Bruce Wayne is absolutely fantastic. The back and forth that they have. Yeah. And Jeremy Irons, he has a significant role in this as well. He's not just there in the background, But yeah, you could tell he's having a lot of fun in this, and he's so much fun to watch. Him and Ben Affleck acting together, it's really fun. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap this up and just say, I think this is really good. It was a really good 4 out of 5 film, I think. So I just can't understand why people have been so critical of it. It's really suffering on Rotten Tomatoes at the minute. It's very much in the rotten zone, but doesn't deserve it at all, I don't think. I tell you what, I saw High Rise the other day, and I felt, when I came out of the theatre, I felt like walking into oncoming traffic. So after seeing that, and you want an example of a movie that's overlong, see that film. This movie, Batman and Superman, it's like a breath of fresh air, man. I mean, so after seeing High Rise and going from that to Batman vs Superman, my God, such an improvement. But yeah, I would recommend it. But what I'd say is, after you've seen it, mull it over, and you might have to see it again. It's one of those I think that will benefit from repeat viewings. Like I said, great action. Everyone involved's really good. Like I say, Ben Affleck absolutely kills it. And like I say, Henry Cavill's so likeable as Superman, I think. Because in the fight, I liked how they did it, and Tyrone Magnus has commented on this as well, that when Superman goes to confront Batman, Superman, he doesn't want to fight. He tries to reason with Batman, but of course, when Batman sets his mind on something, good luck. But yeah, really, really good. And I'm gonna go see this again, and I can't wait for the sequel. I will say this: it does introduce us to the other members. Obviously, it introduces us to Wonder Woman, but it also introduces us to Flash and Aquaman. So we do see glimpses of those guys. So really laying the groundwork for the next movie. Really good. So that brings this to a close. But one thing he says it brings us to a close. There's one last thing. I think it was a mistake titling this Batman vs Superman. Granted, does have the semicolon and followed by Dawn of Justice. I think it maybe should have just been called Dawn of Justice, because the actual fight between Batman and Superman, that probably takes about 5 to 10 minutes of the film. Pretty small proportion of a 2.5 hour film, you know. Pretty small, a pretty small part of it. And then, of course, you know, the main body, so you get that 10-minute fight, give or take. And then pretty much after that, you know, something happens which makes them realise, you know, hey, we shouldn't be fighting each other. We should be fighting together. And then from then on, boom, they're on the same side. So the Batman vs Superman title, yeah, I can understand, and that may be one thing that alienates a lot of people. You sold us on Batman vs Superman. That took all of 10 minutes. What are you doing, Warner Brothers? You know, so it's there's a lot to say about the title of a film. I mean, it was once said by one of my friends, you know, in relation to John Carpenter's Halloween Season of the Witch, Halloween 3. Nothing to do with Michael Myers. Really good film, but it had that really like albatross around its neck. You know, it's the unavoidable criticism. Hey, we came in here expecting to see Michael Myers. Where is he? So, you know, regardless of how good the film is, if the title's misleading, and my friend said that film, Halloween 3, probably would have done better if it was just called Season of the Witch and they dropped the Halloween from it altogether. Same principle here. This may have went over better. I mean, of course, you may still get the criticisms about the pacing of the film, but this may have went over better if it was just The Dawn of Justice. But hey, hindsight is a wonderful thing, you know. But, you know, it's a pretty small criticism, but that's just, you know, maybe something to it. So yeah, that brings us to a close. Everyone is fantastic. I'm glad we have Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne now. And probably, Tyrone Magnus said, the definitive Bruce Wayne. I'm quite inclined to agree, you know. And it's nice to see for the first time in live action, though, older Bruce Wayne, you know, worn out, tired. I can't, you know, absolutely, I mean, I love when we see our classic heroes older and more worn out. Like Connor McLeod from Highlander. Look at him in Highlander 3. He's worn out, he's tired, he just can't be doing with it. And then that one last immortal shows up and he's got to go sort him out. Same principle here. Ben Affleck, older, worn out, he's contemplating retirement. Boom. Oh, and then all of it kicks off, you know. So it's great to see, and yeah. So yeah, this film may have its problems, but what movie doesn't, you know? So I hope that this review may have proved helpful or useful to those of you who were debating whether to go see it in the wake of such damning criticisms. But trust me, I think the harsh words are unwarranted. I think, you know, if you just go in looking to have a good time, you know, something you can just shove popcorn in, you know, into your face while watching it. It is a total popcorn flick, although it gets dark in places. You know, just enjoy it. That's all I'll say, and I'll be going to see it again. I'll definitely get it on Blu-ray when it comes out, and I can't wait to see the next one. And of course, can't wait to see Ben Affleck's solo Batman film now as well. That'll be awesome. So yeah, that brings us to a close. Sorry this has been all over the place, but thank you for sticking with me, and I hope it's helped. And if you do decide to go see it, I hope you enjoy it. And if you've seen it already, I hope you agree with some of the points that I've made. But thanks everyone, and enjoy it, and I shall see you all next time. Thank you.